every moment of your life, you're making a decision consciously or unconsciously what to focus on. So if you focus on the worst scenario, of course, you're going to feel sick to your stomach, right? And then you find out it's not true and you're fine, right? Focus equals feeling. But there's patterns of focus. So if I asked your audience right now, or all you guys, what do you think most people focus on more? What they have or what's missing?
Tony Robbins, one of the most influential and prolific self-help gurus and high achievers the world has ever seen, has just done a new podcast with Logan Paul and drops some shiny golden knowledge nuggets for us to dissect and use. Plus, as usual, we will finish today's session with a quick practice of our focus, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Solving the Focus Problem. My name's Will, and today let's take a quick look at some brand new, super valuable tips from Tony Robbins, talking focus, achieving, and habits.
And what I figured out was there's these three decisions. Most decisions are made unconsciously. And like 48% of what we do, depending on which doctor you read, is about habit. What's great about habit is you don't have to think. What's bad about habit is you don't change, right? And so most people make these decisions unconsciously. But what are they? One, you decide every moment of your life, you're making a decision consciously or unconsciously what to focus on. So if you focus on the worst scenario, of course, you're going to feel sick to your stomach, right? And then you find out it's not true and you're fine, right? Focus equals feeling. But there's patterns of focus. So if I asked your audience right now, or all you guys, what do you think most people focus on more? What they have or what's missing?
The latter.
What's missing? And including super achievers. Like some of the biggest achievers are always focusing on what's missing because they're always trying to get to the next level. So what happens? As a result, when you're always focused on what's missing, you cannot sustain happiness. It has nothing to do with how intelligent you are. It's just like software. So you always look at what's missing, so you never feel fulfilled or alive, right? And so you keep being on the hamster wheel trying to do more, and it's never enough. That's what people end up being pushing, and you see them burn out, you have everything, and they're miserable.
Tony talks here about how what we focus on affects how we feel, and even high achievers who have so much are unhappy and unfulfilled because they focus on what they don't have. Focus can be a game changer for not only how we see the world, but also how we feel and act in our lives.
Second pattern. Do you think most people focus on what they can or can't control?
Probably the latter.
Can't is most people. Now, in my events, when I ask this to 15,000 people, most people focus on what they can control. That's why they're there, right? They came to take control of their body, their mind, or their business, or whatever, right? But for the average population, and during COVID, there's so much you can't control. It's easy to be focused on what you can't control, right? So what do you think happens to somebody who's constantly focusing on what's missing and constantly focusing on what they can't control? They're going to be pissed or angry, overwhelmed, or stressed or depressed.
Are you one of these people that tend to focus on what you can't control or what's missing? Well, don't worry if you are. Because in a minute, Tony talks about your emotional home, which is the habit of where our focus and behavior goes most often. And if it's not serving us, then we can change it. We can learn to focus on better things for us, our health, happiness, productivity, and all-round well-being.
Then add the third one. And I gave you a dozen, we'll just do three. What do you think most people spend their time more? The past, the present, or the future? Future?
Probably a mix of the two, past or future. Definitely not the present.
Depends on the person.
Right.
Most achievers focus on the future. You are correct. Most people who are unhappy and frustrated, which unfortunately is the majority of humans, most people are not happy and thrilled and have a great body and a great relationship. We all can, but very few people do because they're focused on the past, and usually they can't change it. Or they focus on a future that they're concerned about. And either way, they're stressed. So I ask people, I got 20,000 people in a stadium, and say, how many of you know somebody who takes antidepressants and they're still depressed? And 85% of the hands go up.
Yeah.
You guys know anybody like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't take any antidepressants anymore, but when I did, I was still completely, they do nothing.
So the question is, why is that? Well, on the side it says create suicidal thoughts. That's a clue, right? But it numbs you, right? That's what it does. It doesn't change the source of the problem, which is you're constantly focusing on what you can't control, what's missing, perhaps the past. Just as three examples.
What's your emotional home that you always find yourself returning to? Is it anger? Is it depression? Is it stress, sadness, frustration? We are all most likely to be pulled towards one, because that's our normal. But can we interrupt this pattern of thinking by asking ourselves these three questions? Number one, are we focusing on what we have instead of what's missing? Number two, are we focusing on what we can control instead of what we can't control? And finally, number three, Are we focusing on the present instead of the past or the future? These might be the 3 biggest and most important questions I've ever asked on this channel. And when we are suffering or not in a good place, it could be super helpful to ask ourselves these questions and maybe shift our focus to what we have, what we can control, and what is in our present right now. So please maybe take a screenshot of these 3 questions now so that you've always got them on your phone. So if ever you're feeling frustrated or depressed or sad and just want to kind of change your state, you can come back to this and ask yourself these questions, and they can really sort of help. As with anything, it takes practice and training our mind to focus on what these really mean, but give it a try. It might be really beneficial for you. And that last one, speaking of the present moment, let's do a bit of focus practice now, and focusing on what's really important in this moment right now. Today, we are going to do just 2 sets of 45 seconds each. This time with less talking from me and more focusing from you. Just a reminder, we are just going to focus on our breath, notice when the mind maybe gets distracted, and practicing returning back to that breath. Ready? Let's give this first set a go. 45 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Focusing on that breath only. If you've been distracted, return back to that breath again. Final few seconds in this set. Nice. Okay, good work. First set done. It's always good to ask yourself, did you get distracted much during that set? We have 1 more set to go, so see if in this next one you can do a little bit better. Try and hold your focus for that little bit longer. Before we do that though, a little refresh. Just want you to open your palms and shake your hands a little bit more. Maybe shrug your shoulders. Just distracting the mind just before we go back into that focus. Okay, take a big deep breath. Let the shoulders relax by your side. Nice, we're ready. Our second 45-second set, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Focusing on the breath. And remembering with these practices to notice when we've been distracted. And just returning back to our focus point. Today that is our breath. Stay with it. Awesome work today. Let me know what you thought or how you did down below in the comments. I love to hear what maybe went through your mind. Also, I'm thinking I need to do more on Tony Robbins. He is just such a treasure trove of knowledge and wisdom. Let me know if you agree. And if you enjoyed this session, then please do hit the like button. It only takes a second and really helps out the channel. And if you haven't already, then please do hit that subscribe button. I do videos like this every Thursday, so much love, and I'll catch you in the next one.